Okay.
All right. Hey, Jody Holland here with the Psyche of Success video blog, coming to you today from Palace Coffee on 34th Street in Amarillo, Texas. You may hear a little bit of background noise. As we were getting started, we heard a lady sneeze, about the loudest sneeze I've ever heard in my life.
Pretty big.
So, and reach over here. I don't know if you guys have your fidget spinners, but I just bought one of these, and then I bought 3 more of them. There's pretty much no point to them other than you spin them in a circle and entertain yourself if you have ADD. So that's kind of why I bought mine. Jason Archuleta is with me today, and Jason, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, a little bit about your background.
Okay, well, my name is Jason Archuleta. I live here in Amarillo. We've been here for, it'll be 10 years in July. We moved up here from Big Spring.
Awesome. We actually moved here about 30 days after you then.
Really?
So, yeah, right at the 1st of August, 10 years ago.
Yep. We moved out to be closer to my mother, and we just had we're about to have our first child. That's how I gauge how long I've been here, is how old Riley is. He'll turn 10 in October, so I know we moved here the July before. I've done a lot of things in life, bounced around here and there. I have done ministry mostly as a career. Then we have owned 2 hair salons, which we have right now. I'm also a licensed registered nurse. So we've kind of done...
Oh, jack of all trades.
Yeah, a little bit. That's kind of a family mantra. So we are all a jack of all trades and masters of none.
There you go. Yeah, I've got a lot of ministry in my family. My older brother and my dad are both Methodist ministers.
So, yeah, that's right.
So, and I was trying to remember, who did you work for in Big Spring when you were there?
There was a pastor there for about a year. His name was Dave Ring when I came on.
Okay.
But before I left, I guess the year before I left, Shane Brew.
That's who it was.
That's right.
So Shane and Sean were
Yes.
2 brothers.
Yes.
And Shane was in a guy named Brett Rowlett's wedding that was a friend of mine from high school.
Gotcha.
So that was how I knew him. I remember there was another connection there, but I couldn't remember what it was. So.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to jump in here. I have 5 basic questions that I'm asking everybody on the show. First question is, what is your definition of success?
My definition of success. I was trying to process this question a little bit, and my answer really comes back to the way I define success is really the way the dictionary defines success. The way I view it is you set a goal, and if you accomplish that goal, then it was successful.
There you go.
If it wasn't, then you failed at reaching that particular goal. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that if I don't accomplish a goal, that I can't learn something from it. It doesn't mean that there's not fruit found within failing to hit a particular mark. But I'm 37, and so I'm right at that like millennial age. Like I'm at the bottom, like I'm just over the line of not being a millennial.
Yeah.
So I don't quite have that mindset of thinking everybody should have got a participation ribbon. Although I don't mind getting a participation ribbon as long as the winners get a trophy.
Right.
You know,
there still needs to be something that separates.
Absolutely. You have to know that my goal as a team for Little League was to win the championship, and if we accomplished that goal, well, our reward was a trophy.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that if I didn't win the championship that I didn't learn a lot and have a lot of fun and accomplish other smaller goals along the way. So I would say that my definition is the dictionary's definition of success.
Set a goal and hit it.
Yeah. If I don't, then I'll learn from what I can and try to get better as I go.
And I think that, I've spoken since 2003 about generational change. I started talking about the Xers and how they were so different, and then switched to talking about the millennials and how they were different even than the Xers. And what I've found is that definition, the fact that you have to actually accomplish the goal, is the big distinguishing factor that I think really makes you an Xer and not a millennial.
Yeah.
Is that you can't just go do the thing. You've got to do the thing and finish it.
Yes.
And so showing up isn't enough. It's showing up and doing something great that ends up mattering.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next question I've got for you is, how do you push through your worst times? On your road to success, you said you still learn a lesson even if you fail. But when things go wrong or just aren't working the way they're supposed to, how do you make it through that?
This question is tough for me simply because it forces me to go back to what have been my worst times.
Yeah.
And I can remember, I would probably say the worst time personally that I've had outside of like tragic losses and family
Right.
members dying was probably within 2 years after we moved to Amarillo, to the Amarillo area. We moved into Canyon. We built a house in Canyon. We put a significant amount of money down on a house, and we took out a smaller loan to cover the excess of the house. But we also did that with no jobs. And this was a stupid move on our part. But we bought this house, put a lot of money down.
Yeah.
Where we could have easily moved into Amarillo and not built the house and paid for our house in cash.
Yeah.
So we bought this house and overextended ourselves. Didn't have jobs. My wife's a hairstylist, and she did not have a clientele, so she wasn't making money.
Yeah, I was starting from scratch.
Oh, it was terrible. And then I was working odd and end jobs, and we couldn't pay our mortgage. And so I can remember very distinctly massive arguments and massive fights and stress and all these things. We just had a baby, and we had this really nice house just north of Canyon. We couldn't pay our mortgage.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that was probably one of the worst times of my life going, I'm 27 years old. I have no degree at that time. I had a wife and a child, and we had overextended ourselves on a house. We were broke, we felt like. We were about to lose our house. We'd been getting, not eviction notices, but what's the word I'm looking for?
The late
foreclosure
payment.
papers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's beyond the late payment thing.
Yes. It was scary. We're going to lose our house. What changed all that for me, and this is how I pushed through my worst times, is trying to center my perspective.
Yeah.
So when my wife and I sat down, I don't remember, it was one night I was laying in bed, couldn't sleep, was really stressed out, and something came over me that just said, hey, what's the worst that could happen? Okay, so I started a process. The worst that could happen is we can't make any more of our payments, and they foreclose on our house. They would probably do a short sale to cover whatever we owed the bank first. Mm-hmm. But we would probably, the house was a nice enough house, and we put enough down that we wouldn't lose our entire investment. That bank would make their money back, and we would get whatever back off the top of that. And then what did we do? We would move into town and get a smaller house and
try it again.
What I realized was that the thing that scared me the most was my pride. My ego was going to take a huge hit off that. So when I recentered my perspective and thought, is me being successful at my family owning a nice house that I can pay for? Well, then if it is, right now I'm a failure.
Yeah.
Because I own a nice house, but I can't pay for it.
Right.
Why don't we just downsize? So that's what we ended up doing. We ended up selling our house. It wasn't foreclosed upon. We did take about a $20,000 hit off of it. And then we moved into town, paid cash for the house we're in now, and over the last 8 years have been fixing it up, trying to get it ready where we can sell it at some point and
make a profit and go again.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have that experience. I remember being really, really stressed out in 2002. After 9/11, the training industry just took a nosedive. Mm-hmm. And I'd started business in 99 at 27, where I bought a house, had a kid, and couldn't afford what I was doing.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, he goes, at some point it's just pretend money. And I go, what? He goes, I woke up one day, and this is his story. He goes, I woke up one day and I owed $1 million. And I thought, yeah, they're not getting that out of me if I fail. Because at that point you just go, whatever, you're not going to lose anything at this point other than your pride.
Yeah.
And so I think what you're talking about, when you can frame it in that right manner, it becomes okay.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, it might suck. The bank might not like me for a while, but I'm still going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to reevaluate, and we actually sat down with some friends of ours that we were going to church with at the time, who they owned businesses, they were successful, they had money, they had nice houses and things, and but they were just good, godly people that we very much respected, still do. And I remember Amy and I went to their house, just completely humble, just going, we're just going to lay it all out, put all of our finances on the table. This is what we have.
Yeah.
And I can remember Sean, he took that piece of paper that I brought in, and he's looking through. He goes, now all these are active. Yes, sir. okay, he's looking through this, and he takes a few minutes, and Amy and I are sitting there just
Dying.
heads hung low. We're embarrassed, and he goes, "Well, you are two of the wealthiest 27-year-olds I've ever met." Shut up! What? Like, I don't understand that. I said, we're about to lose our house. He goes, yes. He goes, your cash flow is broken.
Yeah.
He goes, you're cash poor. He said, but you're not
broke.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He said, all of your money is tied up. You have more money than most people your age.
Mm-hmm.
So we, again, reevaluated, recentered, and said, okay, let's sell our house, even if we take a loss. We did that, moved into town, paid 100% cash for our house that we're in now. We were 27, 28 maybe at the time, maybe 29, before we turned 30.
Yeah. And you own a
house. Had no car payments. You know, and this is how we've lived for the last 10 years.
Which fixed your cash flow.
Exactly. It did. It also gave us the ability to take out a home equity line of credit and pay off some other things that we had, and have a longer, lower percentage on our interest rates.
Yeah.
You know, we had the ability to restructure what we were doing, and it all came back to just where was our perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. So looking forward now, you guys have what, 3 salons? Is that what you said?
We have 2 salons.
2 salons. Okay, so 2 salons. You still do music ministry. You're a nurse. So you got all this stuff going. What is it now, knowing that you were able to frame through your worst times there? What is it now that keeps you awake at night?
Really, the only time I stay awake at night is when my perspective's off. It really is. When
your frame is broken.
Exactly. When my focus is not where it should be, that's when I stay awake at night. When I get on my phone and I have to check the bank account, first thing in the morning, what did this look like? There was a time, I want to say that in the first year we opened the salon, we purchased one of the salons and we owned and we opened another one. But within the first year of owning the one that we opened, I was sitting there in my office one day at the salon. I was going through my numbers and went, "It's over.
We're done.
Yeah, it is.
I quit."
Yeah, I mean, we don't have enough to make payroll next week.
Yeah.
I don't know how to go about from here. I'm stressed out. I've been pushing my wife. You got to bring in more clients. We're going to do this. I'm looking for this. I'm pushing as hard as I can. And when I finally said, "Okay, it's done. What's next?"
Yeah.
It recentered me. It put that frame back together and said, "This is really what's important."
Yeah.
We made the decision to stay in Amarillo and open a salon and go that route because we had a dream of helping out single mothers. We had a dream of knowing that we could be successful in business. We could open a business and keep a business running. We could be, with that definition of success, we had that goal. This was our goal, and we wanted to make sure we could accomplish it.
Yeah.
So we reinvested another $6,000 the next week, and we've never had that issue since.
Yeah, I have found the same thing, and I've been in business now 17 and a half years. And about 3 weeks ago, I still had that same thing going, "God, am I going to make it?" And I'm thinking, why am I worried? I mean, I did phenomenal last year. Yeah. I've got plenty of money in the bank. I'm always 3 or 4 payrolls ahead. And yet at the same time, you still lose your frame at times. Yeah. And I think that's great advice for the people watching this is, as long as you frame it correctly, you can handle anything.
Yeah. Why is it that we do that? Like, why do we make more money, so we spend more money, right? You look at companies, they start out, I mean, we take Palace, for example, started out as a small coffee shop in Canyon. I don't know how many years ago, 3 years ago? It hasn't been that long.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago.
And then they opened their downtown location, and then within the next year, they opened this location, and they're opening their roastery. They're at the downtown location. It's funny, I had a conversation with Patrick, it's been 2 or 3 months ago, and he was coming through the coffee shop, because I spend a lot of time here.
Yeah, this is my coffee shop.
Yeah, we see each other a lot in this particular area. So Patrick's walking by, and we're talking for a second. I said, how are things going? He goes, "Good." He goes, I got into the coffee business because I love making coffee and making people happy and doing good things that way. He said, "Now I feel like I'm a glorified gopher." Like errand boys would say, I'm a glorified
Yeah.
errand boy. And that's how you feel as an owner. Hey, I
Yeah.
want to do this. And you get into it and you end up taking on all the back end stuff. But you make some money and you go, okay, I'm going to reinvest that and do this now. And you do.
Yeah.
You may make, what, 5% off
Yeah.
the money you invested. And then it'll eventually grow. But I feel like every time we make a jump financially in one of our businesses, then we go, what can we do with that to make more money?
Yes.
So we take this income that we've made and we shrink that to reinvest it.
Yeah.
It's almost like we don't get to enjoy what we're doing.
Well, and for me, I think that was a big switch really about 2 years ago where I said, I want a lifestyle. You know, I chased the dollar as my definition of success for 15 years and then woke up one day and went, I want a lifestyle. And what's amazing to me is, like, I hired a person to do the gopher stuff. Like, she's really good at details. She was my banker.
Yeah.
And so I hired her away from Chase Bank to, I call her my handler, to handle everything I don't want to do. I want to show up, I want to talk, I want to get paid.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I couldn't afford it. There was no way I could afford her. And she was going to make double what the last assistant made. And, you know, she asked for what she wanted. I paid her more than what she asked for because I believe if you'll just set that tone where people go, okay, well, obviously you think I'm worth more than I think I'm worth. So I did that. I have made more money getting to do what I love than I ever did being the glorified gopher.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the thing is that we start these businesses for a reason. We got to make sure we stay within that reason.
Yeah.
And reinvesting, I don't have a problem with. It's not getting to do what I love to do, which is interact with people and do training and coaching and help people reach their potential.
Yeah. But again, I think what you did there was you took and said, what is my real goal here?
Yeah.
Even with chasing the dollar, your goal was to have a lifestyle, but we kept continually chasing
the wrong success goal.
Exactly. I had a conversation with a pastor several years ago. I was working at a church and we didn't really have a vision. We didn't have a direction we were going.
Yeah.
And I had this conversation and said, what's our goal? Like, I see churches do this again. A lot of my realm of experience is within ministry and churches. I work for probably a dozen churches since I've been 18 in some capacity. And I don't know one church that has ever said, hey, we want to reach this number. Like, we want our goal, because in the church world, it's like, no, we need to be as big as possible because it's the kingdom, and we've got to just bring it in. That's fine, but you can really only reach out to so many people that's why there's all kinds of churches from all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no specific direction, and I feel like most people do that, not necessarily within church life, but within how much money I want to make.
Yeah.
When we stop looking at, I need to make more money, and start going, hey, I want to make. There was a hairstylist we knew several years ago. She had a goal. She wanted to make $100,000 a year. That was her goal. And I don't know where she was at the time, but we had several conversations about it when my wife worked in the same salon that she did. And then a few years ago, I ran into her. She moved to another salon here in town, and I went over to check it out, and I ran into her, and I said, hey, did you meet that goal? She goes, I've hit my goal. And she's hit it for like 3 or 4 years in a row. Because she said, this is my goal. Yeah. Not, I need to make as much as I can. This is my goal.
But I think that's really important from a goal-setting standpoint, that if you don't have something specific, then most people never meet their goal. And so, I mean, I had a specific amount of money that would give me the lifestyle that I wanted.
Yes.
So I still wanted that amount of money. And I actually made more than that, but I gave a bunch of it away.
There you go.
I'm like, I made what I wanted to make. And part of my definition of success is I get to give money away.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. I find that the more generous I am, and this has no basis in any sort of marketing logic, of business model logic that I've ever seen. But the more generous I am, the more it comes back.
Yeah.
I
call it the law of reciprocation. When you put the good stuff out into the universe sends it back. It reciprocates your generosity.
Absolutely. And I grew up in a world, so the movies that I saw growing up in the 80s were like Wall Street.
Yeah.
It's all about greed is good. That was the big model, right? That he throws out there. Greed is good. And I grew up going, I don't want to be greedy.
Yeah.
I want to be able to be generous because people were generous to me. I grew up with very little to nothing.
Yeah.
And so to have this concept that I need to be greedy now, well, I wouldn't have survived if other people were greedy.
No, it would have destroyed who you are.
I want to give, and like you, like we have, you know, there's a federal minimum wage that I have to pay to my employees. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what it is off the top of my head because we don't pay that.
Yeah.
We pay significantly more than that to our employees who are hourly because I don't ever, my concept has always been, if I pay the minimum, I can only expect the minimum results.
Right. So that kind of leads into the next question about success habits, about what your habits are. Obviously, that's one of your habits,
Yes.
is to set that standard higher so that they'll always reach for that standard. And that's kind of the same thing that I did when I hired Debbie, is I said, okay, well, you said you want X, I'm going to give you X plus.
Yes.
And that way you work towards that higher level.
Yeah.
So what are some other habits you have for success?
I would say constantly reevaluating my goals because my goals change from time to time, from year to year. What I want now at 37 is not what I wanted at 27. At 27, I just want to be able to pay my bills.
Yeah, I want to not be kicked out of my house.
Yes, that would be nice. At 37, we have 4 kids. I'm really focused on spending time with my kids. My wife was out in Los Angeles this weekend, and a friend of ours, Ashley, kept the girls so that I could really spend some good time with my boys this weekend.
Yeah.
So spending family time is a big goal that I have now. So to make that happen, I have to be very, very structured.
Yeah.
So this morning we were crazy running behind because the structure that I had laid out did not fall the way I thought it would.
Funny how that works with kids.
I'm telling you. But and I understand that within my kids' lives that won't hold.
Right.
But within my business life, that should hold fairly steady. And if not, I need to make adjustments.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly reevaluating what my goals are. So then I can go back and reevaluate how I get to there.
Yeah.
I always build for what the end goal is.
Yeah, you think about, from a goal setting standpoint, I learned SMART goals early on. Specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-defined.
That's right.
And so I think that when you're really specific about what the goal is, it's just so much easier to get. But like you, the goal is success, and therefore the pathway to the goal can change.
Oh, always.
So you may stay really consistent on the goal, but the tactic or the strategy you use to get there sometimes will modify.
Yes. I'm a big basketball fan. I love basketball. It's my absolute favorite sport. And my boys will play a basketball game, whether it's on the Wii or the Xbox. They'll play a basketball game, and the goal is to put the ball through the hoop.
Right.
Now,
pretty easy goal.
Because I've been playing it
for a while.
Except it's not. Except it's not. That's right. On a video game, it's a little easier.
Yeah.
But they will take the same route to the goal.
Every time.
They see the goal, they just move their little guy, and he goes right towards where the goal's set up on the game. Where I know that a defender is going to come into that particular area, I'm going to have to go around them somehow. Spin move, crossover, whatever, they can pass it off to somebody else.
Yeah. Some way you're going to have to get around them.
Exactly. But my boys don't have that concept. So I think over time you learn that, yes, that may be my goal, and the quickest point from path A to B is a straight line, but there's always going to be objects in there.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes I think you can run through those objects, but that's going to really slow you down. Sometimes the best route is to go around them, above them, below them, whatever it may be. I'm old enough now that I can see everything has a way around it.
Yeah.
Everything. I just have to figure out what that is. And it's not typically the easiest thing. I do a lot of scheduling with people now as far as at the church that I serve at. I was hired on less than a year ago, and I was leading worship for 2 services on a Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
In the last, that was June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. 9 months?
Yeah.
No, 11 months. We're getting there, almost a year. We've gone from being leading worship for 2 services on a Sunday morning. We did a remodel, and now we're at 3 services at that particular campus. We have absorbed 2 campuses, and another campus that we already had, we've decided to do a full worship service for that too.
Wow.
So now on a particular weekend, I'm responsible for 6 services in 4 campuses in a year. That took some changing.
Yeah.
That took, hey, this is what I want to accomplish. Now I know it's not going to just be that straight of a line. Now instead of scheduling upwards of maybe 9 people on a weekend. I'm having to schedule 9 for this campus, 3 or 4 for this campus, 5 or 6 for this campus, and 3 or 4 for this campus.
So you get really good at systems by doing
yes.
that. You have to, or you fail.
Yes. If I don't have my systems, if you looked at my backpack over there, I just got to do. And my wife will tell you that I'm a bit of a bag nut. I like backpacks.
That's awesome.
But the reason I love the backpack that I have is because I open that top pouch and I flip it open and there are compartments.
Yeah.
And there's a place for everything. And I'm just like, yes, this goes here and this goes here. And if you open it today and you look at it, 3 months from now you come back, it's probably going to be the same.
Yeah.
Everything has a place, unless there was a reason to change it. But I need those systems in place. I need things to be where I got so frustrated this morning trying to find shoes for my daughters because my wife has a drawer and all the shoes are in the drawer. They're not latched together in pairs. They're not, it's this drawer for this girl and this drawer for this girl.
It's just they're all right there.
Drawer.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy because I need to be able to walk in there, grab a pair of shoes, shut the drawer, put them on the girl, which is a whole different concept to master,
yes.
and then get them in the car. Ugh.
So would that
having those, yes.
Would that be your lesson that you would share with folks is create a model for the way you get there, or would it be the flexibility, or would it be the framing, or is there a different lesson that you would share?
Man,
because you've given us some really good stuff.
As far as I don't think it's an either or. It has to be a both and.
Yeah.
You have to set your goal and say, this is what I want to accomplish. I was taught, set your goal and then figure out how to get there. Mm-hmm. If you don't have the end, the means make no sense.
I would agree.
You set the end, this is what I want to accomplish, and then I will map it out. This is how I want to do it.
So you kind of do that reverse planning. You start at the end with the end in mind and go, okay, in order to get that, I'll have to do this, this, and this. In order to get those done, I've got to do these things.
Exactly.
That makes sense. So so I'm going to just kind of recap some of the things that I've heard. One is you got to have the right frame of mind. And so often
yes.
things just get thrown in there. I wrote a book a few years back called The 6 Demons of Fear. And one of those little demons that's just throwing stuff into your mind is that self-doubt and self-criticism. And I think, to me, that's the worst demon out there because it's just always throwing that, you're not going to make it, you and I both, from a business standpoint, have survived what most businesses never do.
Yes.
And we're still here.
Yes.
And we're still kicking. And every day we get a chance to do it again. And every day we reinvent ourselves. So you got to keep that framework in place so that demon of doubt doesn't get you.
Yeah.
Second lesson I got from you is that you're going to zig and you're going to zag in order to get where you want to go.
Yes.
So it's not a straight path to success. And I would agree with you. I think it takes longer, going back to your basketball analogy, to try to run straight because you just keep running into those defenders all the time. So learning how to move in the right manner and work around the obstacles and over and under and whatever else, I think that's brilliant. It's what you've got to do. You got to be specific. Got that from you as well about where you want to go, but flexible in how you get there. And you got to know that you're doing this because it's an extension of you. It's your lifestyle that you're creating. It's spending time with your kids. It's getting a chance to be in ministry and nursing and a salon all together, which is a really unique combination of things to do.
Yeah.
So I've gotten some great stuff. Any final thoughts you want to share with everyone?
Don't quit. Don't quit. It will get better. It will.
Yeah.
It will suck at times. You will lay in bed at night awake, but don't quit. That's the biggest thing with us and our family. We have had many setbacks, many things that have come and hit us right in the face. And the times where we suffer the most, financially, with depression, with all these things that you can struggle with in life, are the times where we want to quit.
Yeah.
The times that we feel our best, even in the hard stuff, is this morning when I couldn't find the shoe that I wanted. I didn't quit saying, well, forget it, the day's over, I'm calling Jody, I'm not going to show up to that deal, I'll just sit here at the house. No, we're going to look for a pair of shoes till we find a pair of shoes that fit. And we're going to get them on you and we're going to get you out of the house.
You're still going to school.
Exactly. The boys made it to school just before that second bell. I got here a little bit later than I wanted to, but I still made it.
Yeah.
It's adjustments, but you just don't quit. You keep going.
Yeah. Great advice. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
Make sure you guys subscribe to the video blog. You can go to bit.ly/JodyTubeSUB and you can subscribe. That'll pull up the link directly there. Check us out on Facebook, Jody Holland Training and Speaking. Follow me on Twitter at Jody N. Holland and look for some other great content. Don't forget, we release this video every Monday. Every Wednesday is an advice piece. If you want some advice on anything, you can email success@jodyholland.com. And every Friday, we're going through a book study. So it'll take a different chapter of a book. We'll release a 10 or 20-minute video on that every Friday. Enjoyed having you guys. Take care. We'll see you next time. I'm Jody Holland.